China. It is surprising that such a country exists on earth. A Chinese dog chef in China strikes a giant fence to keep the dogs out of the hustle and bustle of Shanghai, China's largest international city. And it looks like they are taking out one by one and selling the dogs. As the coronavirus lockdown measures in Shanghai, China have entered the third week, citizens' dissatisfaction has reached its peak. On social media in China, a video has been uploaded of citizens who are in danger of being deprived of their homes for using them as quarantine facilities and being arrested while fighting the police. According to the British BBC and The Guardian on the 15th local time, a video of Shanghai citizens fighting or confronting police in quarantine suits was released on Weibo, a Chinese social media, the day before. Shanghai quarantine authorities are locking down the entire city and using exhibition halls and schools as temporary quarantine facilities for patients. However, as more than 20,000 new cases emerged every day, there was not enough space for isolation. Accordingly, the authorities have decided to convert some housing complexes into temporary quarantine facilities and isolate new confirmed patients. Some residents of Shanghai, who had their homes taken away overnight by the authorities, strongly protested. In the video, a resident shouted, "Why are you beating me?" and protested, and the police arrested him. In another video, a woman shouted, "Why are you putting an old man in a car?" Shanghai residents knelt in front of the police and begged, or confronted the police with their whole bodies. "This is crazy," one resident told The Guardian. "I never thought that something like this could happen in Shanghai. Aren't Shanghai officials ashamed of what is happening in our city in recent weeks?" Like a video that has appeared in the past few weeks, such as a search for the name of the apartment complex that disappeared from Weibo, Chinese social media companies were quick to intervene to remove evidence of a confrontation between the police and citizens, Dean reported. However, despite the authorities' response, the related videos quickly spread on Chinese social media and were shared on Twitter and Facebook. Meanwhile, according to the National Health Commission of China on the 17th, the number of new infections in China on the previous day was 26,016, including 22,512 asymptomatic. Of these, 24,820 new infections were reported in Shanghai alone. The bank's loan interest rate is expected to rise by more than 10% annually by the end of this year. It is predicted that many people who take out mortgages will be pushed to the bottom of the road as they cannot afford the rapidly soaring interest rates at the end of this year. Concerns about an interest bomb during a period of rising interest rates are becoming a reality. The Bank of Korea raised the base interest rate from 1.25% to 1.5% on the 14th, and Bok Governor candidate Lee Chang-yong, who will attend a hearing on the 19th, said, "The biggest factor to consider when determining the base rate is the upward risk of inflation." While foreshadowing. In the financial sector, there is also a forecast that if the BOK raises the base rate to the 2% level by the end of this year, the interest rate on home mortgage loans will exceed 7% per annum. The burden and worries of loans are growing even more by attracting the souls of the young clan. The highest interest rates on mortgage loans at major commercial banks have already exceeded 6% per annum. As of the 18th, the fixed rate of mortgage loan fixed rates for Kookmin Shinyan, Woori, and Hana Bank stood at 6.38% from 3.98% a year, up 1.4% more than the upper end of the interest rate from 3.6% to 4.978% at the end of last year. During the same period, the new COFIX linkage for variable interest rates on mortgage loans increased from 3.71% to 5.07% per annum to 5.342% from 3.42% to 5.342% per annum. The rise in interest rates was due to the rise in market interest rates due to an increase in the base rate. The 5-year bank bond yield, which is the index rate of fixed interest rates for main loans, jumped more than 1 percentage point from 2.259% at the end of last year to 3.428% on the 15th. The new COFIX, the index rate of the variable interest rate for mortgages, rose from 1.55% to 1.72% during the same period, showing a relatively small increase. Loan interest rates may continue to rise until the end of the year. There are many forecasts in the financial sector that the BOK will raise the base rate to at least 2% by the end of this year. This is because inflationary pressures are strong along with accelerating austerity measures in the United States and other countries. In a written response to the personnel hearing submitted to the National Assembly, BOK Governor candidate Lee Chang-yong said, "In the current situation, the biggest factor to consider when determining the base rate is the upward risk of inflation because," he said. Candidate Lee evaluated that it is appropriate to maintain the trend of raising the base rate. The interest rates on deposits and savings accounts, which rise in line with the central bank's rate hike, also raise lending rates. Major commercial banks will raise interest rates on deposits and savings products by up to 0.4 percentage points from the 18th. The rate of increase is faster than the 0.25 percentage point increase in the base rate due to criticism of high deposits and loan margins. When the deposit interest rate rises, the cost of raising the funds required for the bank increases, and the loan interest rate also rises. The rate of reflection of interest rates on deposits and savings accounts is the highest in calculating COFIX. For this reason, some in the banking sector even predict that the interest rate on home mortgage loans could reach up to 7% this year. An official from the credit sector at commercial banks said, "If the base interest rate rises to 2% or more per annum, I think that the interest rate on home mortgage loans in the banking sector is highly likely to reach the maximum of 7% per annum. The last time mortgage rates exceeded 7% per annum was in 2009. But there are variables. Each bank is competing to cut interest rates on loans as the demand for household loans has dwindled this year. Kookmin Bank will lower the preferential rate of fixed-rate mortgage loans by 0.45 percentage points from the 5th to the 1st of the next month." According to the Bank of Korea, household loans by banks fell for 4 consecutive months from December last year to last month. This is due to the fact that household loan interest rates have soared and demand for investments in real estate and stocks has decreased. An official from another commercial bank said, the base interest rate will rise, but considering the trend of banks cutting interest rates to expand their business, the loan interest rate will not exceed 7% per annum. Some view that market interest rates such as bank bonds have already reflected the base rate hike by the end of the year. In the case of 3-year government bonds, there is also a forecast that the interest rate level will be lower than the current level by the end of this year. As interest rates rise, so does the interest burden. According to the Bank of Korea, if the interest rate rises by 1 percentage point for the self-employed who receive household loans and business loans at the same time, their interest burden will increase by 6.4 trillion won. In a situation where interest rates have risen and the interest burden has increased, if the government's corona-related financial support measures are ended, loan insolvency may become a reality. Democratic Party lawmaker Ko Min-young, who served as a spokesperson for the Blue House, said on her Facebook page, "The brutality begins." President Roh Moo-hyun also left for the inauguration ceremony on the morning of the inauguration due to the measures of then-elect Lee Myung-bak, he added. He also said, "There is no way to know whether politics have made people so cruel, or whether the true nature of a cruel person has only been revealed. I think that the Republic of Korea is a dynamic and interesting country that is open to people because people who flirt with meaningless words are members of the National Assembly. You can live until the expiration of Moon Jae-in's charter period at the Blue House. No one is telling you to leave and by when. Only the Blue House will be open to the public when it is legally open." Thank you for watching today. Please like and subscribe.